Yesterday, we learned of a series of grants from the Human Rights Foundation going out to developers and projects working on initiatives beneficial to Bitcoin and its network of users, miners, and validators. Some of the grants went to Bitcoin core developers, others to developers of user-facing software like wallets. Still others were for education efforts or ancillary services like the Lightning Network. One grant recipient stood out as particularly interesting to us. Joining me now is Anita Posch, founder of the Bitcoin for Fairness Foundation. Anita, welcome to All About Bitcoin.
Hello, Gail. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, can you tell us about the Bitcoin for Fairness Foundation and what you're working on?
Yes, of course. Yeah, first, a big thank you to the Human Rights Foundation and Alex Gladstein for providing us with this grant. It's part of a bigger budget that we have and that we are trying to fill with grants. And what are we going to do with it? Yes, we're going to found the Bitcoin for Fairness Association, and its goal is to bring free Bitcoin education to millions of people, hopefully all around the world, especially in emerging countries, in countries with authoritarian and totalitarian governments, where the banking system is completely broken, in those countries for those people who need it the most, in my opinion. And that's what our goal is and what we are starting this year.
I want to talk about the specific programs you're going to start with the Bitcoin for Fairness Foundation in a moment. But before we do that, let's talk about fairness for a moment. What does that concept mean, and why did you choose that as the sort of central concept of the organization?
Because I think it's the central property that Bitcoin has over many other cryptocurrencies, or that's the most important property for me for Bitcoin, that it gives open access for everyone around the world, regardless of age, gender, color, status, wealth, and you don't need an ID. And that's, in my point, the most important thing about Bitcoin. It's not so much, it's of course also for us or for me a store of value, but it's a financial rails. And this is so important for these people who are disconnected from the global economy, because they don't have a bank account, they don't have a bank in their area. Banks won't take them on as customers because they don't have enough money or they don't have an ID. And that's a global financial system that excludes billions of people, and our goal is to give those people the tools and the possibilities with Bitcoin to be part of this global economy.
So you mentioned education. I guess that's part of it. What are the other components of ensuring that people around the world in the situations that you described are able to access Bitcoin?
Well, our first goal is to provide free education and to help local communities to organize themselves and give them basically the first tools to start their own communities. We want to help share knowledge to educate the educators on site. And that can be by going to these countries, visiting them, working with them in workshops, providing them with hardware wallets. In many countries in Africa, you can't even get a hardware wallet. So to show them best practices in self-custody of your private keys for your coins, and things like that. And on the other hand, like online, we will provide podcasts. I'm going to go on interviewing the local stakeholders, the developers, the Bitcoiners in those countries, and also building a bridge to our so-called Western countries, because I think we don't talk enough about these use cases. And so it's an educational effort and also a people connecting effort.
Anita, what are some of the countries that are top of the list as you're thinking about starting operations and once you pull together the funding that you're looking for?
Yes, so the most interesting countries in the moment are South Africa, I was in Zimbabwe in 2020 already giving talks and talking with people in Zimbabwe, and I would like to do that again. I'm not sure if it's possible in the coming months because of the COVID situation. Nigeria is on top of my list because there is a lot of going on in Nigeria that we don't know anything about, I think. And then I also want to travel to Central Latin American countries, maybe Brazil, Venezuela. We will see how the planning goes.